My name is Hannah Childs, and I have been a registered dietitian since 2012. I also have my own private practice, and you can find more information about that at connectednutrition.net. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about nutrition and the language that we usually use around food and eating and diet, and how that plays into our relationship with that food and our own selves. Traditionally, we hear a lot of language that has a sense of morality attached to it with food. So this is good, this is bad. And what's interesting to think about is that when we use that type of language around food, that can easily be transferred onto ourselves. If I eat that food, then I am bad. If I eat that food, then I am good. My approach to nutrition is more about balance and moderation and honoring our bodies and what our bodies are asking for. I prefer to approach nutrition from a standpoint of intuitive eating, where we really learn how to tap into our bodies and listen to what they are asking us for. What we come to find is that our bodies really are asking us for a little bit of everything. So when we give ourselves permission to have a little bit of everything, we have a higher quality of life. We don't feel deprived. We don't feel good or bad about ourselves as we move through our day, doing something that we need to do multiple times a day. So in place of moralistic language, meaning labeling certain foods as good and certain foods as bad, a good place to start is to just reframe how you think about food and use neutral language instead. So instead of this bowl of ice cream that I want after dinner being bad for me, it's something that sounds good. It's something that is refreshing. It's something that my body is asking for. And it's something that has a place maybe a few times a week. And it ends there. It doesn't have to be good or bad. So if we're trying to move away from using moralistic language around food, meaning not labeling certain foods as good or bad, we can take a step back and just recognize food for what it is in that moment. So if you sit down after dinner and you grab a bowl of ice cream because that sounds good to you, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And that's an interesting concept because we start to realize in that moment, if we are not labeling that ice cream as something that's bad for us, and we recognize that it's just a different source of fat, it's a different source of carbohydrate for our body, it just is, it turns into a bigger conversation about me. Why do I want this bowl of ice cream? And that can be an amazing opportunity to learn a little bit more about ourselves and the relationship that we might have with food. Am I eating that bowl of ice cream because I am upset and a sugar rush is going to help me feel better in that moment? Am I eating that bowl of ice cream because it sounds good and I can be content and happy taking each bite, noticing how it tastes, noticing how it feels? And that's all it is at the end of the day, is a bowl of ice cream. In today's culture, we are really just submerged in a go, go, go type of environment most of the time throughout our days. And it can be really helpful and a healthy practice to learn how to slow down a little bit in general, but particularly when we're eating. And so a great way to do that is to take a deep breath before you sit down at your meal. Really notice what your food looks like, what it smells like, and when you take a bite, what it tastes like. And if you're eating with someone, it can be interesting, probably awkward initially, but good to have a conversation with the person sitting across from you about, like, what does this taste like to you? Can you sense the seasonings that I used? What do you think they are? And just bring awareness and presentness to that meal. And what happens when you slow down and pay attention to what your food is tasting like, it increases satisfaction, and it can also help your body just be in tune with what's happening. So, are you full? Are you still hungry after you have finished your meal and been really present throughout? Paced eating can also really cultivate a sense of gratitude as we connect with the food that we're eating. If you stop and think about the farmers who planted that food and worked in order to provide it for you, and you taste it and it is good and it brings you energy and it brings you life, it just really helps bring a sense of thankfulness to those moments throughout the day. Here's some ways to determine whether your relationship with food is headed in a healthy direction, or maybe bring awareness around the fact that your relationship with food might be a little bit disordered or unhealthy, and could be a great conversation to have with your current counselor or a dietitian. When you sit down to eat, are you rushing through your meal? Do you notice how it tastes? Do you notice when you're full? If you are full after your meal, do you stop and move along with your day, or do you go back for seconds? Or conversely, when you sit down for a meal, are you anxious? Are you really concerned about how many calories that meal might contain? Do you feel guilty about the food that you're about to eat? Is it hard for you to finish your meal? Has watching this video brought up some feelings of discomfort for you? Does talking about food make you feel uncomfortable? Does thinking about the way food impacts your body make you feel anxious or uncomfortable? If so, then you might need a little bit of extra guidance in order to make your way towards a healthier relationship with food. At the end of the day, a healthy relationship with food is one in which there is appreciation and respect for your body and your body's need for all three major food groups: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. You are able to sit down at a meal without there being any negative feelings, whether that's anxiety, guilt, or shame. You are able to tap into your intuition and recognize what your body is asking for, whether that might be more protein, more fat, more carbohydrate. You listen to your body, you give it what it needs. You have that bowl of ice cream at the end of dinner, and you are present with it. And at the end of that bowl of ice cream, you're done. There is no more need for additional ice cream because you satisfied your body's need for that extra fat and that extra carbohydrate. If watching this video has brought up some uncomfortable feelings for you, or maybe some questions around your relationship with food, that is awesome. It's bringing awareness to what's going on for you. And there are no good or bad questions to have about this topic. There is no need to navigate it alone. If you would like some answers to these questions, there are counselors and dietitians available to walk with you through those questions.